on Australia's Business Channel. Welcome to In Business.
Hello, I'm Richard Goncalves and welcome to In Business. Well, is it easier to remember 1300 Sky or 1300 759 if such a number existed? Well, our next guest is banking on the idea that consumers will remember a phone number, or a phone name rather, than a phone number, if I can remember my script. OK, Jack Singleton brought the concept to Australia, so is it working? He joins us now to tell us all about it. Jack, thank you very much for your time.
Richard, thank you for having me.
Give us the rundown of where the idea for this concept came from.
Yeah, I mean, I spent 2 years working in the United States and specifically looking for ideas that I guess were tried and tested in the US market that hadn't been used in Australia. And as soon as I landed, as soon as anyone lands in the United States, you see that any ad that would have a phone number doesn't. It has a phone name, whether it be 1-800 Western or 1-800 United or 1-800 Sheraton. Everyone who wants phone calls realises that names are easier to remember than numbers.
So I'm curious, that trip you made to the US.
Yes.
Did you know in particular you wanted to search for a telco-related business, or was it anything you?
My background being marketing and advertising was specifically, a biotech idea. I wouldn't have known a good one for a bad one, but an advertising idea. I saw that and thought, wow, this has got some legs.
Okay. Just how popular is this kind of a concept in the United States?
As I said, pretty much every ad, whether it be TV, print, radio, outdoor, they realise in the United States running an ad with a phone number, that old saying, you're wasting half your money. Half the money you spent on advertising is wasted. They know any advertising dollar spent trying to get people to remember a phone number is a wasted advertising dollar. So it is ubiquitous. It is everywhere.
So it might sound like a no-brainer, but what kind of research has been done to prove that letters are easier remembered than numbers?
Yeah, look, it does seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of the clients we've got on board wanted to see rigorous research. We'd commissioned Roy Morgan to do a study in 2006. It showed that 93% of Australians were aware of the concept. It showed that where people had used a phone name in place of a phone number, the recall was 30 or 40 times greater than the recall of a phone number. And we've repeated that research early this year, and awareness of the concept's gone up from 92 to 95%, I think. It's the exact figure. And again, anyone who's using a phone name, the recall of that phone name is 30 times higher than a phone number. So
just how have Australian businesses and Australian consumers embraced it? Because if we look in the phone book and made a comparison about who's using numbers and letters, the numbers far outweigh.
That's correct, yeah. Look, it is a reasonably new concept in Australia. I came back in 98. It took 7 years to actually get the numbers released that made it all possible. So it's only
what do you mean, get the numbers released?
The government held the actual phone numbers that spelt the appropriate phone name. So there was a lot of government lobbying that needed to be done, and we purchased large groups of numbers. As someone might purchase broadband spectrum or wireless spectrum, we purchase numbers and we now license those numbers to clients, to businesses.
Okay, so when did phone names actually start?
It became possible in Australia around 2004.
Okay, and there was lots of lobbying. You mentioned you were lobbying the government, and there was another obstacle, if I'm not wrong, and that was the standardisation of handsets. Can you tell me about that?
That's correct. There was an international standard keypad that became the standard internationally, North America, Europe, in 93. That didn't become an Australian standard until 96.
Okay.
So Australia became a dumping ground, if you will, for non-compliant keypads.
When you say non-compliant keypads, what was different in terms of the keypads?
They had the letters on the wrong keys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but by law from 1996 onwards, so it's now been 12 years that by law phones have had to have the letters on the correct number keys.
And you were involved in lobbying for that?
That's correct, yes.
It was worth the costs?
Well, it's early days, but if the success of our clients is anything to go by, there's a lot of benefit in having a name instead of a number.
We'll talk about your clients in a second, but can you run us through what the business model looks like?
Yeah, look, our model, as I said, we'd purchased, spent large sums of money, probably in the vicinity of $10 million plus, purchasing number ranges that we license to our clients at a reasonably low cost. I think if you do a cost-benefit analysis, it's an extraordinary low cost that we're able to supply the numbers at.
So in terms of phone names or yourself actually making money, how does your business pull in revenue? Where does the revenue come
Licensing fees. Our preferred method of remuneration is a success fee.
from? Okay, what does that mean?
Well, if we say to a company who's in the business of home loans, for instance, they might be spending in the vicinity of $100 trying to generate each phone call, each lead, using a phone number. They run the same campaign using a phone name, and it can halve or even reduce by 2/3 the cost of generating that lead. And we'll say to that company, look, if we can save you $1 million a year in cost of lead generation, how about sharing some of your savings with us?
Okay.
A lot of our potential clients do the sums and go, hang on, this could be saving us $5 or $10 million a year.
Right.
We don't want to share too much of that with you, and then we can negotiate a fee. But
So on average, for a smaller business, I guess, if they were looking at doing this, how much would they have to outlay?
oh, look, it could start from as little as $400 or $500 per month. We've got some very small businesses as clients, ranging up to publicly listed companies, the Harvey Normans, the Domino's, etc.
Is there such a thing as a premium number or a premium name?
Look, it depends on... I mean, every number has a potential to spell a lot of different things. For instance, the number that spells Westpac also spells WesTrac,
Okay.
which I believe Kerry Stokes makes more money out of than Channel 7. It also spells Westsale, Westrail. So the number that commands the greatest premium, I guess it's like real estate, is the number that there is the most demand for.
So is there a potential for a bidding war to go for those numbers?
We prefer to base our... we select our clients based on who's the most appropriate. Our business is successful when our clients are, so we like to work with the companies that are going to promote the numbers the best, derive the most benefit, and if we're on some form of success fee remuneration, the greater the client success, the greater our remuneration will be.
So who's actually using your business at the moment? Well, if you can drop some big names, and is it the larger end of town or is it smaller businesses or SMEs?
Look, it ranges. I guess in any new form of promotion or the adoption of any new marketing tool, it's more a mindset. I mean, we've had listed companies, Harvey Norman, Westpac, Jerry Harvey, through to very, very small businesses. And I guess it's just about the mind of that marketer or that operator thinking, do I want to be the first? Am I willing to give this a go? Do I want to get the jump on my competition and grab market share?
I'm very curious to know in that initial, in that start-up phase, when you were trying to convince Australian businesses to use this service, what was the reaction like? And did you literally just pick up the phone, cold calling?
The first, I guess like any business or any new marketing tool, you've got to prove that it works. I know for Jerry Harvey, we'd been chatting with Jerry and his management for about 18 months. And to get them over the line, we spent a substantial amount of money testing phone name versus phone number. Two identical radio ads. Ad A with the phone number, ad B with the phone name, ran them in even rotation for 2 weeks. At the end of the 2 weeks, tallied up the calls and bookings that went through the phone name, the calls and bookings that went through the phone number. 3 times more calls, more than 3 times more bookings went through the phone name.
And you don't think consumers get confused by looking at all those uneducated or that wouldn't know how to use it if they were to see 3 or 4 letters on one particular keypad or a button?
Look, I mean, the proof of the pudding is in actual consumer behaviour. We have the Roy Morgan data that told us that 94% of people are well aware of the alphanumeric dialing concept, but the proof of the pudding is run the ads. Do people call? Do they pull out their credit cards and book? And it was based on that increased sales evidence that Jerry Harvey, every ad he runs, 1300 Go Harvey, Domain, they've all got phone names in them.
Given that,
Sorry, Jerry, for giving away any trade secrets, but that's when you've got someone as savvy as that and his marketing team. They didn't make the decision lightly. They looked at all the research. We had to prove it to them in a real-life case study, and then when they saw the results, it was an easy decision to roll out phone names.
And given your background is in marketing and advertising, what kind of techniques do you like to use to push your brand out there?
You can't beat a good testimonial, and naturally part of the deal we did with Jerry was, Jerry, if this works, you've got to agree to do it, and if you agree to do it, can we use you as a testimonial? Can you say a few words? I think Jerry came up, the line that I like best was, he said, mate, now I just laugh when I see phone numbers in ads.
Okay.
His competitors are out there trying to get people to remember and call phone numbers, and he knows it doesn't work.
I guess it's the same format in terms of web addresses. Now it's all words, whereas before there was a potential for it just to be numbers.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever advertised a domain number. I mean, all websites are, at the end of the day, they're linked to a 161.421.398. People don't promote domain numbers. They promote domain names because people remember names.
This isn't the only business that you run. You've got your hands in other areas as well. Can you tell us about that? And what about what you need to do to make sure you can spread yourself across all these businesses efficiently and effectively?
Yeah, look, I mean, my day job, 9 to 5, I wish it was 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, is the phone name business. And every other business I've invested in and am involved in is to do with advertising and marketing. Someone once said, stick to your knitting and work out what you do and where your core skills are and stick to that. So I guess to answer your question, because the other businesses I'm involved in are all to do with advertising and marketing, it means all I ever think about is what is going to help a client sell their product, promote their service, get the result they want.
And in terms of the economy, if I can ask an economic type question, given we're seeing a slowdown in the Australian economy, a slowdown in the global economy, do you think that's going to put some pressure on the advertising market?
No, I mean, if you look historically, the advertisers who actually spent more money when times were tough, the Campbell Soups, I haven't seen Jerry Harvey slow down his advertising. The people who can push ahead when everyone else is a bit nervous, they're the ones who are going to reap the rewards later on.
Okay.
I don't know, for our phone name business, if you want to maximise every advertising dollar and you want calls or you want SMSs, ditch your phone number and get a phone name.
Okay. Jack, we've got just under a minute to go. Let's quickly do the In Business Top 10 to find out a bit more about you. What was your first job?
First job was working as a jackaroo in the Northern Territory.
Worst job?
Worst day at work was actually removing a dead body from a caravan, which was in the Northern Territory.
In your current business, what's the biggest challenge you faced?
Compared to removing that body from the caravan, nothing is a challenge.
Fair enough.
Believe me.
Biggest mistake you've made?
Biggest mistake? Probably haven't made that one yet.
Biggest success?
Probably just sticking to this phone names thing. I had government departments laughing at me 10 years ago.
Greatest competitor?
Telstra.
And your greatest business tip?
Greatest business tip is when it gets hard, just keep going and going and going. Okay. Believe in yourself and the idea.
Jack Singleton from Phone Names. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Richard.